Hey everybody, welcome back to the 6th Round Post-Fight Show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-host, as always, Eddie Mercado. We are coming to you right after the conclusion of UFC 241 in Anaheim, California. Cormier Miocic 2, Stipe Miocic, once again, heavyweight champion of the world. And I just got to put this out there, front and center. I did not think Stipe Miocic had this fight in him.
That is fair. But wow, what a fire main card that just delivered on all levels. That it was as advertised. We got exactly the fights that we wanted to get. And
definitely, absolutely. I mean, there's not one fight on this main card that was not the fight it was supposed to be. Even Brunson Heinisch was, it was better than advertised, if for no other reason than Derek Brunson turning in the best, most complete striking performance of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. The cleanest striking performance for damn sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, man, I couldn't be more pleased with this. I mean, it was just epic. The main card was epic, and the prelims were just that. They were prelims. Yep. And like the only real downside to these stacked cards is that some of these fights would have been better served if they were 5 rounds and not 3.
Yeah. Diaz, Pettis, Costa, Romero, those both could have been great 5-round fights. They probably would have been much more definitive 5-round fights. Not that there's any question that Nate Diaz won his bout.
Right.
But there is definitely that feeling in the air that given another 2 rounds, Yoel Romero probably would have beat Paulo Costa.
Yeah, I need to see that again.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Even though it wasn't a definitive win, I scored it for Costa. I know he didn't look great over the last round. It wasn't a blowout, but he is clearly like the next title contender, though, right? Like,
for sure.
There's nobody else that the opportunity to watch Paulo Costa versus Israel Adesanya. Like, I want that fight.
Like, I didn't even think it would be possible for me to like be more afraid of someone than Yoel Romero. And then here comes Paulo Costa. It's like, hold my beer. Not only am I bigger and like more freakishly athletic, but like I rip to the body. I have a chin. Like,
yep.
Man, I'm just really praying that there's not a USADA involved here. Like, that's just, can we just please keep them away from this for all, like, regardless if it's clean or not, I don't care. Just stay away from it.
I would pray to the MMA gods, but it's pretty clear at this point that they are not kind or caring gods. So I'm just going to leave that to fate and hope.
Yeah. But wow, how about Stipe, man?
Yeah, like I said, we've seen Stipe dominate fighters who either physically can't hang with him or who are just not technically ready to fight at that level. We have seen him annihilate people in 1 round, but like, this is the first big elite top class heavyweight, great athlete, every bit as technical as him, that Stipe has actually had to just fight and fight back and fight hard to lose large portions of the fight and find a way back in it to win. And it's remarkable. Like, you have to give a ton of credit to him because we haven't seen it before.
We've seen him come up short in those kind of fights. Or like one time against the first JDS fight. Yep. Like, he really had to fight his hardest, and it wasn't enough then.
Yep.
But man, he completely, I don't know if it's like a corner thing or if he did this on his own, but he just completely switched up his game plan and just aggressively started to attack the body. And like, I honestly don't believe that Cormier was expecting him to just repeatedly punch the liver, just repeatedly. Nope. Like, Cormier was convinced that something was coming high, but like, it didn't until it did, until he was so committed to blocking to the body. And then it was the beginning of the end.
It's also a little wild to me. Like, I almost wonder if it's one of those things where I know you never want to be the corner that tells a fighter he's ahead when they're losing. But I do have to wonder if it wouldn't have been worth telling Cormier at some point early in this fight, like, you are winning this fight. you have this fight in control. Because even after the first round, he sounded really worried that this fight was slipping away from him.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to believe that his coaches know him. Through and through. And I don't know. I think I believe that they said what they thought was best to rally their fighter. And Cormier was doing good out there. He was just getting hit and tagged way more than his corner was wanting him to. But he was doing pretty well.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can even. I'm looking at stats right here in front of me, and Daniel Cormier still outlanded Stipe Miocic 181 to 123. You know?
Yeah. It's just Stipe had more sting on his.
Yeah. He almost, Stipe Miocic was barely on his way to outlanding Cormier in that fourth round when the TKO happened. Without the flurry that ended it, Cormier still would have probably been up on significant strikes in that round.
Which is crazy because, I mean, those body shots were way more significant than a lot of the things that Miocic was getting hit with. And credit to Miocic's chin for being able to take all those punches.
Yeah.
He took some just clean as day shots. Just doesn't get any cleaner. And the same punch that knocked him out in the first fight, he was able to eat several times in this one.
Yeah, I kind of got to wonder if, Cormier didn't bank on that a little. And because he was looking tired by the time by the time the fourth round came, Cormier was the more tired fighter in the cage.
It was really after that lifting slam that Cormier did that his gas tank just kind of left him after that.
Yeah, but you also got to look at he threw 100 strikes in the third round. He threw 85 in the second and 83 in the first.
That's crazy at heavyweight.
I think he expected to melt Stipe sometime early in that, pushing that kind of pace.
Yeah, because Stipe does stand there. He is there to be hit.
Oh yeah.
But his chin just showed up tonight.
Yep. Absolutely. Great win for Stipe. I don't know. I don't even know if this killed any potential fights for the UFC. I've heard some things lately. I saw somebody postulating recently that they haven't seen USADA updated for a couple of weeks now, which usually only happens if the UFC is trying to hide somebody that they don't want people to know about. They don't usually they'll do it for tough winners, or if there's somebody they've signed that they don't want people to get word of, they'll stop publishing the USADA data for a little while.
Well, yeah, no kidding. You got Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa. Of course. Of course. If there was ever a time to stop updating USADA, it's now.
I think what people are more driving at was the idea that maybe they've actually renegotiated something with Brock Lesnar in the hopes that Cormier had won. But
I mean, yeah, there's a possibility, but Dana White seemed pretty well. Never mind. Who cares? I have to stop myself right there.
Either way, I do wonder. One of the things we were talking about before this fight happened was what is the big fight at heavyweight if Miocic wins? And there isn't an obvious one,
Well, there's you have two possibilities. You got Ngannou, who is just on this 3-fight murdering spree. The rematch is, of course. Even though he got completely served and owned in the first fight. But the dark horse option is Walt Harris, who's been quietly marching his way up and has a huge fight coming up. And if he gets through that, then why can't he challenge for a heavyweight title?
Yeah, he could. It's just, it's one of those things where DC is the guy with the rivalries. He was the one who, he had Jones out there. He had Brock Lesnar out there. They don't really have a game. For Stipe, it's just going to be whoever is the next guy in position, which is fine.
Unless they can convince Brock to fight him, if that's even a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because other than that, I mean, you can't, you can try to go with the Ngannou draw, but Stipe isn't going to be a draw. And that's just is what it is.
Yeah, it's just it. It's just the plain and simple facts of it.
It's you might have to just think outside the box and team up with the bare knuckle gig and try to get him in a bare knuckle fight or something. I don't know.
This is what I was saying, is that the heavyweight that wants the next title shot, they got to go out there and become an arsonist. Just start lighting stuff on fire. You know?
Yeah. You got to draw some publicity somehow.
Bring the angle. But for that, Nate Diaz beat Anthony Pettis, and great performance from Diaz, and kind of a shocking rally from him, because even he admitted that he burned through his gas tank and gassed himself out early in that fight. You could see there was that moment where, like, he's rubbing his eye, he's looking slow, he's taking deep breaths, the ref comes in and checks him, and I don't know what the miracle is there. Maybe it's just all the triathlon training. Maybe it's the weed. Maybe there's something, some other undiscovered process out there that we don't know about. But he poured it on Pettis after that quick break.
I mean, it's just how he fights. That's how Nate Diaz fights. Like, I picked Nate Diaz to win in the third round. That was my call going in.
Yeah.
Just because how he just builds and builds and builds over the course of a fight and just doesn't get tired. And the fact that Pettis his body has been increasingly failing him in fights, despite him just being as tough as they come, his body is still just, the wheels are literally falling off of Anthony Pettis. So I didn't expect him to make it through the third round, and he almost didn't, because Diaz was really pouring it on. Those knees in the clinch were just brutal, and he just wouldn't stop. And I don't know how, but like when Pettis dropped down after the knees and Diaz was like, okay, we're going to grapple here. How in the world did Pettis reverse him and get on top? And like how he was still able to fight is just is insane. It just the spirit of Pettis is just
he's
impressive.
Tough as shit. But that roll through when you've got his back, that is his move. He did it a ton to Charles Oliveira. Kind of remarkable in the Dustin Poirier fight, because he did it like 2 or 3 times there, and then he got stuck turning and he hurt his rib. Yeah. And that was the end of that fight.
Yeah, but I mean, I definitely expected Diaz to pour it on and start overwhelming him, but that first round wasn't promising, that's for sure.
No, like that's the thing, is it surprised me, and it sounded even to Nate, like it surprised him how tired he got, and then to rally back from that, because people were like, oh, it's rope-a-dope and all that and whatever. And then he gets to the post-fight interview. He's like, I was training. I switched up my training to fight a 3-round fight, and I got really tired really early, and I'd probably fight better over 5 rounds. And it was, he was
getting bombed on there in the first round too.
Yeah.
Pettis was ready to counter.
He looked awkward. He looked, I know Dominic Cruz says ring rust it's all in your mind, but he looked rusty. And then he found his footing, and it was all downhill for Pettis from there.
Yeah, it was a great fight, though. Like, definitely just an epic fight that might have gone completely different a long time ago. But, it is what it is. Pettis is in a tough spot. He's trying to make this resurgence at welterweight. It looked like it was going to be a thing. And then Nate Diaz shows up and came and took a spot.
Yeah, I'd still kind of love to see Pettis go out and fight Robbie Lawler, though.
Yeah, there are plenty of fights for Pettis out there. There's so many just dream fights to make, and I really hope they continue that theme with him, because that's kind of what they're doing.
Yep. For Diaz, though, man, he made the UFC's job super easy. For a dude who never wants to fight anyone except for like the hugest money fights available, they must have been thanking their stars he called out Jorge Masvidal.
Absolutely. And I think it's just a testament to the Diaz brothers and the way they roll. Yeah. They've always been the type to want to fight guys who will actually fight them. They like fighting fighters, not competitors. The same is true for Nick Diaz. It always has been. They respect the fighters, like the guys who are coming to bang, not the guys who are coming to lay on you. Like, if you're going to be on the ground, you better be punching or looking for submissions, or you're not going to get their respect. So it's a very ballsy call out. I understand it, and it makes tons of sense. Not only because, like Diaz said, Masvidal is a G, he's a real fighter, but also winning that fight puts him in title contention. So Diaz could actually be setting himself up for a title run, as crazy as that sounds.
I mean, when you have the clear draw that he does, like he was the needle mover of this pay-per-view card.
Yeah.
It does not take a lot of wins to get you in title contention. You know, Conor McGregor punches another old man in the bar, and the UFC might put a belt on him.
Man, Nate Diaz, I couldn't be more proud of this guy.
Yeah.
For coming out of his brother's shadow the way he has, and even larger than his brother now. It's mind-boggling, and like it's good to see.
It's great. I hope they make that. I hope they're putting pen to paper on that Masvidal fight right this second, because there's no way. There's nobody who doesn't want to see it. You saw they cut to Masvidal after that. He's like jumping and clapping, and he just could not have been more happy to hear that. Like,
because that's a payday. Like, Diaz is about his money, and he will make a stink about it if he's not getting paid. And Masvidal will sit there and do the same thing.
Yep.
They're going to get paid, and I love it. And I hope it's a headline. I hope it's a 5-rounder.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be great.
The only problem will probably be if Diaz demands to be on pay-per-view, because then they're only headlining pay-per-views with title fights. It would be a fantastic ESPN headliner for an ESPN card, but like honestly, Diaz is one of the people that you should be putting on pay-per-view at this point. He should be headlining a pay-per-view.
Well, credit to him for swallowing his pride and being a co-main event.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised, honestly. Like he just handled it pretty professional.
Yeah.
Despite not showing up to the face-off or whatever he missed.
Yeah, no kidding. Like that kind of stuff really shows that like the UFC is understanding this is the guy who's going to help bring buys to this event, and they're not even headlining the card with them. And it's kind of this whole pay-per-views are only for title, or title fights are always headlining pay-per-views thing is puts them in a weird situation with dudes like Diaz and McGregor, who are clearly two of their biggest draws and both don't have belts.
Yeah. You got to really start looking at that 65-pound title.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, that brings us to a middleweight bout. Paulo Costa, Yoel Romero, as advertised, just two super muscly dudes wailing.
This was
each other.
Everything that we wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we wanted it to be. It had the drops. It had the effort. It had the just big meaty guys just flinging themselves at one another in the most violent sort of ways. It had bravado. It had blood. I mean, man, this was great. This really did it for me.
And it's really kind of awe-inspiring to see two dudes who are that jacked and who aren't dead tired, or who are even if they get dead tired within 5 or 10 minutes, are composed enough to fight through it. You know?
Yes. It's great to see.
Yeah.
Like they don't wilt because they're tired. They just dig deep and try harder.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary. That's so scary. Man, I wish this were 5 rounds. I need to see it again. I would watch this every day.
Yeah. I mean, Yoel Romero, he just does that to fights. It's hard to think of a Yoel Romero fight in recent history where you're like, I could see him fight that dude 10 more times.
This is true.
You know?
Wow. It's a freak show fight, but like a legit top tier middleweight matchup at the same time.
Yeah. It's the championship status that every freak show, every freak dreams that they can someday go legit and be like the king freak.
Yep. And Costa has a chance to do it.
Yeah.
Man, the way he throws his punches is just so violent.
Yep.
And his pressure is just constant. And his takedown defense, when the few times that Yoel did go for a takedown, well, he did get the takedown in the second, but that very first takedown attempt, like that told me a lot. I was like, uh-oh, if it was that hard for Romero to get that takedown, it might have been a long night. And he kind of just abandoned the takedown altogether.
Yeah.
He was just content to kind of Tyron Woodley and himself through the fight.
And, if Costa is, if he's heading towards a title shot, how much does takedown defense really matter against Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya?
No, it doesn't matter much of any, but it was still good to see.
Yeah.
It's definitely
It's good
good
to see
as a
a
complete
dude
fighter.
who doesn't have much defense and who throws those kind of hammers is also just that stupidly tough and driven that he'll fight off the takedown. He's not breaking mentally when things go against him. He's in that fight for every second of it.
I am 100% okay if he gets that Adesanya Whitaker winner.
Yeah.
He looks the part. He fights the part. He's tough as shit. Excuse my language. You can't get any more like poster boy for cage fighting than this guy. Of course, you said that USADA has not been updating.
Yeah. I don't think that has to do with this fight. I think it's probably, I don't think that they would actually try to hide a positive test, even though I understand that actually, like, ascribing virtue to the UFC is probably a mistake. But the idea is more like they used to do. It's something they do often when they were doing tough seasons. They would stop the testing for so people didn't figure out who the finalists were and stuff like that. But or stop showing the testing, publishing it. It might be, or it just might be, they're just falling behind. But I doubt that it's.
All I know is these two guys look like they're from the steroid era of the UFC when testing didn't exist, and then testing came along and the body type severely changed, and then we get these throwbacks to the classic body types, the classic freaks. But turns out they're really great martial artists as well. They're not just physical specimens. They're actually exceptionally great martial artists.
To quote Goldberg era Rogan, if you built a fighter in a lab,
yeah, exactly
like that.
They have the Captain America serum.
All right, before that, featherweight Sadiq Yousef beat Gabriel Benitez, knocked him out with a counter right hook in the first round. Great, fun action war. I think Yousef really came out there thinking that he would just bulldoze Benitez and then walked himself into a ton of trouble early.
Yeah, Benitez showed off some toughness. He showed off a good chin. He got cut early and didn't shy away from it. He just kind of tried to stay on the outside. And when he found his moment, he got himself back into the fight. So it was a gutsy performance from Benitez, but he was in a firefight that he was going to lose. His technique just wasn't sharp enough to be sustained, to not get caught, I felt like.
Well, and the big thing was, Yousef came out on the front foot, and Benitez was countering sharp, dropped him with a good sharp counter. And Yousef started getting chipped up a little by those kicks and things like that, getting eaten up with some left hands. And he's like, you know what? I'll start counter fighting. Let him come to me. And Benitez started getting confident, and then he walked into Yousef, and Yousef is just that little bit, more powerful a puncher, but really, because Benitez stepping in on the strikes, and he ate that counter shot just like Yousef did, but Yousef was able to rally back, and Benitez was not.
Yeah, much more crisp and explosive with that punch and power. It's very scary, and a lot more of an arc on his punches than Benitez was throwing. And Yousef is tough, man. I remember James Vick was telling me about him, and I was like, yeah, I was listening and I believed him, but then I actually saw him fight, and I'm like, wow, this dude is he's scary. He is scary, explosive. For featherweight, this dude packs some power.
Yeah,
he packs some serious power. Especially he's coming out like he did in this fight, just no respect for his opponent, chucking heat. That's fun to watch. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see as he marches up that division, get some bigger fights. Benitez was just kind of like the right launching pad of a mid-division action veteran who's going to test you, who's going to make you mind your P's and Q's a little. But after a win like that, you might start fighting some of the, Josh Emmett, Arnold Allen, some of the more composed, well-rounded, diverse guys that Yousef can still be a problem walking him down, but it'll be a whole multi-level game plan he's got to deal with.
I want to see him fight Shane Burgos.
Yeah, that'd be
That
fun.
would be a banger. Absolute banger.
Absolutely. I think, let me see, what was I thinking for Sadiq Yousef? I was thinking Dan Ige, maybe.
Yeah, another banger. Guys who just like to throw their hands.
Yeah, both a lot of fun fights out there for him. For that middleweight bout, Derek Brunson beat Ian Heinisch, and Heinisch has always been kind of skating through. Well, always. He's only had 2 middleweight fights. This was his 3rd. But he's skated through really in those first 2 with just like being tough as hell, being game as hell, being a great scrambler, just going after people. And Brunson finally shows up as like just a really composed fighter that Heinisch could throw himself against all fight and not break.
Yeah, and this is crazy because Heinisch was so close. Like, he looked strong out of the gate. He landed that head kick that rocked Brunson, and it's like, oh, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is it. This is Brunson's gonna Brunson here.
And Brunson is not a fighter known for his great composure over multiple rounds.
No, like, not the opposite. He's like least known for that, if anything. Like, who has been ranked longer, but like the most sloppiest? Derek Brunson.
Yep.
Like, it's not a good sign when you're fighting Derek Brunson and you're the fighter that looks sloppy.
Yeah.
Like, Heinisch has such a great inspirational story behind him, but it's like his luck kind of ran out tonight.
Yeah, this is the wake-up call that, I mean, you knew sooner or later that it was going to be like, you're going to have to tighten up your game. You can't just only throw huge overhand rights into takedowns from way far away and then scramble out of bad positions forever.
Yeah.
Like they can't be your entire game. But
he kept getting sucked into the grappling exchanges.
Yeah. Well, he thought he could win them.
Yeah. Well, how much of this are you going to credit Henry Hooft? And how much are you going to just credit Derek Brunson?
At the very least, it being Brunson actually taking seriously the idea that he needs coaching for the first time, apparently ever. Like, I don't necessarily know that it's down to Hooft as much as just is anyone. Like, going from being a high-level pro for as long as he was and finally turning and saying, maybe somebody else should be looking at what I'm doing at all. Almost anyone probably would have helped, Yeah,
and I mean, I know he's brought guys in, and I know guys that have trained him, but actually, like, joining a camp and like removing yourself from your comfort zone and having a head coach and really
having
just
people
doing
scout your opponents for you and tell you, oh yeah, no, you need to be looking at these aspects of your game and these aspects of this fighter you're approaching and things like that. Like, I think that obviously, for somebody who's been so mentally sort of all over the place in fights as Brunson has, like, you got to credit that for just having a really big calming influence on him, like feeling prepared in that way.
Yeah, because I mean, the better strikes were coming from Brunson. Like, he was throwing at a reserved but calculated pace. He wasn't overextending on his strikes. And it was the cleanest performance that I can really remember from Brunson.
Oh, yeah. Ever. Definitely.
Despite him getting clocked senseless there in the opening moment of the fight. Yeah.
Great win for him. Great fight for him. Keeps him right in the middle of that top 10 at middleweight where there's always going to be somebody who needs a fight against somebody with a number next to their name. And Derek Brunson is going to be that guy.
Yeah, he is the gatekeeper to the elite.
I wouldn't even mind seeing him get another chance at like another top 5 guy, like Kelvin Gastelum or something. Just, give him another shot. He's making these changes. He's trying to reform his career. Let him see if he's.
I think we should let him gatekeep one more time and see him again.
Yeah, let him fight Krzysztof Jotko.
Yeah, there you go. I'm fine with that.
I can see it.
Or what's Jared Cannonier doing?
He's about to fight Jack Hermanson.
Ooh.
And the winner of that fight will probably be right up in that top tier mix. He could fight the winner of that fight, honestly. I mean, that'd be fine.
Ooh. Sure.
Yeah. All right, that brings us to the prelims and a lightweight bout, comma-worthy Devontae Smith. And, man, rough loss for Smith. Great win for Worthy. And I can't help feeling like the friends fighting angle might have got to Smith.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, there was a couple opponent changes for Smith.
Yeah.
So we already had that working against him.
Yeah.
Then he ended up getting a friend as his opponent.
Yep.
Then he ends up showing tons of respect in the fight.
Yep.
And then he ends up getting knocked out because of it.
Yeah. You could just right before the knockout to his corner screen, he like high fives Worthy and his corner screen. I'm like, don't do that. And just immediately afterward knocked out. It's just like, yeah, you know, maybe his head was not in this.
No, and I don't know. I'm against friends fighting.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
If it's for the UFC belt, cool. But man, that's tough fighting someone that, and like, this isn't like, they're not just like casual training partners. Like, these guys are legit homies.
Yeah.
Things get weird. I don't know. I hope they stay friends after this, but
I'm sure they will. But
Smith still has yet to reach the scorecards for better or worse in his professional career. So
yeah. So the thing is, just even after this too, we really don't know that much about Smith's game other than his ability to throw really straight, hard counter shots, like counter 1-2s.
Well, we know he can be finished.
Yeah, we know he can be finished. We know that now. For Worthy, though, you know, like he said, he's 33. Devontae Smith can get better. He needs to get paid.
Yeah. I mean, he killed it on the mic afterwards.
Yep.
I think he talked his way into a post-fight bonus, aside from being the first finish on the card.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's not like he didn't look like a world beater out there, that's for dang sure. He looked like someone just making the most of an opportunity. And it just goes to show when the UFC comes calling, you're better off just kind of saying yes, and then whether or not you're ready or not is after the fact. Because things like this.
He's a good, fun, hair trigger counter fighter. Loves to throw volume off of his opponent's offense, and he'll be doing that. Whoever he fights, he'll be fun. Whoever he fights, but yeah, I mean, it might be a mid-card action fighter kind of thing for, you know, off of that game.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. For Smith, though, this is definitely, you know, maybe hopefully for him it's just the friend thing. Otherwise, it's a setback. Like, you met somebody who knew your game a little bit, and they kind of blew you open, you know?
Yeah. Curious to see how he'll bounce back from this, but
yeah.
We'll see.
For that much, much bigger fight, Corey Sandhagen beats Rafael Assunção. And, man, Henry Cejudo needs to get his body right, because we now have 3 title challengers in this division, and somebody's got to get that shot at the belt.
Yeah, it's getting nuts. And
yep.
I'm getting that feeling of an interim title coming. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
As lame as that is, like, you're going to have an interim title when you have one guy holding up 2 divisions.
Yeah,
man, I don't have enough time to talk about that and how much I hate it. But yeah, man, this division is stacked. First of all, like, just through and through. There's so many killers, guys that hit hard, guys that can wrestle, and it's a great problem to have. It is.
I mean, so here's the question: Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen. Let's assume that none of them are fighting Henry Cejudo in the immediate future, because Cejudo's out for the rest of the year. Which of those 2 fight each other?
Probably Yan and Sandhagen.
Yeah.
Because they have the less amount of time in. Sterling's the veteran there who's paid more dues.
You know what I want to see Sterling do at that point, if he's got to wait too? get another fight with Marlon Moraes.
I don't know. I don't think he wants to screw up his title shot.
Well, the thing is, though, if he waits and Sterling and Sandhagen and Jan fight, there's no guarantee at all that Sterling doesn't just get jumped by the winner of that bout. You know?
That's true, but there's a good chance that Jan and Sandhagen would be such a violent fight that they both come out super banged up.
That is something to lean on.
Do what?
That is something to lean on. That's something that Sterling can try and hope for.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have, but like something needs to happen.
Yeah.
There's no like good answer, but I'm down for all answers.
Yeah. Bantamweight is so damn fun.
Yeah.
Ahead of that, earlier in the card, Drakkar Close, Christos Iagos, lightweight bout. And I kind of thought Iagos won this one, honestly. But really, really gritty, tough performance from Close.
Yeah, it sounded like, or it looked like he had a solid game plan. And
yeah.
He wanted to bring the pressure and burn out Iagos, and he did just that. Probably took a lot more punches than he intended to, but his game plan worked out nonetheless.
Yeah.
I think
got him the win. You know, you can't argue with his plan and the win it delivered. And he did, to his credit, land more strikes than Iagos, especially. But like he landed more strikes in that huge round 2 he had, where he rallied back, and that really put it 1-1. But in the third round, they both landed 41 significant strikes. You know.
Sure, but if look at the face of Iagos, that dude was busted up. The damage was being done by Close.
Yeah, I mean, it might also just be that like Close is really hard to mark up. You know, like just really tough.
He's got that BJ Penn complexion.
Yeah, because he was definitely getting drilled hard by Iagos all fight. Like it's not like he wasn't getting hit just as hard. But
well, I don't know about that, because after the second round, when Iagos took the back and went for that rear naked choke really hard, after that the steam on his punches were really diminished. So like, yes, he was landing some strikes, but I don't think they were as hard as what Close was landing.
Fair enough, maybe.
And
not.
Close posted a picture on Instagram afterwards. That dude's face is spotless.
Like I say, I mean, but that may just be him being bulletproof. You know, like. I don't know what to take from that.
Or he wasn't getting hit really that hard.
If I got hit that many times by Christos Iagos, my face would not look like that.
Well, I mean, what is that really saying, Zane Simon?
It says that I don't have, that ability to take damage. Or at least if I do, I don't want to find out about it.
Fair enough. Either way, just the eye test, Close clearly won the fight.
All right, fair enough. I'm not arguing too much with the scores. It was a close fight. So.
Yeah, and how about Close calling out Gregor Gillespie at Madison Square Garden, which is a tough and great fight and a smart call out if you're trying to make moves.
Yeah, it's a smart call out. It's a fight he just might get. I don't know. I don't know what Gillespie's up to right now. I don't know if the UFC wants to give him that fight, but he's got the record that's pretty enough for it. And Gillespie's a tough as hell matchup. It's not going to be an easy bout, but you got to, if you want to get into the top 15, you got to pick out somebody to, you can't just go out there and be like, oh, I want a top 15 opponent, anybody in the top 15. Know who those dudes are. Call for him, because he doesn't have a fight booked, so it's a smart call.
Pick your poison, even if it doesn't work out. Didn't Ian Heinisch pick out? He called out Derek Brunson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he got the fight, but he just wasn't ready for Derek Brunson. Turns out.
Apparently, also we just saw the bonuses. Paulo Costa, Yoel Romero got fight of the night, and Miocic and Worthy got performance of the night.
Wow! So Yousef, scoring one of 3 finishes on the entire event, did not get a bonus.
Yeah, well, it's
interesting.
I'm happy to see Worthy get it. Like you said, he's got kids that need taken care of, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And Costa versus Romero was a candidate for Fight of the Year.
Yeah.
That was epic. That was grand.
Really. Earlier in the night, before the direct card closed, Christos Iagos bout, Casey Kenny beat Manny Bermudez, and I got to stop underrating Casey Kenny.
The dude can grapple. It's funny. His post-fight interview, he said himself that his grappling is world class, and he's right.
Yeah.
It is.
Although I love that he said he wanted to bang, he wanted to fight a banger, and then he called out Frankie Edgar and Uriah Faber.
Oh man, bless his heart.
Both those dudes are gonna try to wrestle you to death, man.
Yeah, it's definitely, and he will be more than willing to engage in that kind of fight too.
Oh yeah, sure. It was just.
But that was just like the inner fan inside of him being like, these are the guys I emulate. These are, similar kind of styles. That's just the fanboy in him trying to fight his idols.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, Bermudez is a dangerous, funky, weird grappler. He easily had like the best moments in the first 2 rounds. And he won the third one decisively. But he didn't have any of the moment-to-moment offense in those first couple rounds. And Kenny dude scraps like hell.
Man, Bermudez looked so huge out there compared to Kenny.
Did.
And it really seemed like that size just started to wear on Kenny as the fight progressed. But like he was doing well, though. He was finding the top positions and solidifying it there in the first and the second, whereas Bermudez was just real gun-ho and cavalier with his submission attempts.
Yeah.
I think he was just disrespecting the grappling ability of Kenny, and it cost him the fight.
Yeah. No, I kind of postulated that maybe fighters would be overlooking Bermudez's grappling this early in his career. But clearly the case here is that fighters have been overlooking Kenny. Like, he's the dude that people are just like, oh, of course I can take this dude down and outwork him. I'm Ray Borg. I'm Manny Bermudez. And just, nope. Not working that way.
That was impressive to see. And can we get this guy someone his own size now, please?
Yeah, no kidding. That bantamweight division is packed full of fun-ass action fights. So hopefully he gets somebody more his own size that he can really compete with on even footing. Dude,
honestly, this guy's on his way to the rankings.
Oh yeah,
I'm blown away by him.
Yep. That Ray Borg win counts for a lot, and then following it up by beating another top prospect,
he covered both sides of the spectrum. Like he beat a true flyweight, and then he beat someone who's pretty much a featherweight.
That's right.
Can we get him someone his own size now, please?
That's right. Yeah, and if he can pick up a fight, especially against somebody like Cody Stamen or Ricky Simone or somebody like that, then he can get himself into the rankings real quick if he can get a win like that.
All of those are great. There's everybody at bantamweight is a great matchup.
Oh yeah, no, that division's just full of fun fighters. That brings us to an early prelim bout. Hannah Seifers, Jody Escobel, and good, solid, straightforward win from Seifers. Just outworked Escobel a bit each round. Not overly thrilling otherwise, but, fine.
I would say the lamest fight on the entire card.
Fair enough. Yeah.
This fight didn't do it for me. I didn't really like it.
Yeah, well, Jody Escobel is... There's some mystery as to why she's been in the UFC, honestly. I think it's mostly just she's willing to fight anyone on whatever schedule the UFC needs, because otherwise it's almost all been lackluster decision losses. In fact,
this was a very lackluster decision. I can't think of any moments in this fight.
Yeah.
Can you remember any?
Mostly the post-fight speech where Seifers seemed absolutely terrified of having to talk in front of people. Somebody suggested afterward, and as a owner of a list, I don't want to be like out there hating on the potential speech impediment community. Somebody pointed out that Shape maybe has like a bad stutter. It's hard to tell when somebody's that nervous about speaking in front of people, but it is really remarkable to see somebody who is that comfortable fighting in front of a crowd and not that and like that uncomfortable speaking in front of one.
I mean, that's public speaking is the number one fear. Second, number two is death.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
Public speaking is like the worst thing ever. And it's funny because like, you know, fans will sit here and listen to this show, but like they don't know how hard it is to actually get up here and actually talk and have a conversation. It's being recorded, like hearing your voice back. And then like, it's not easy to talk in front of people. It's insanely hard. So yeah, I see it all the time. And like I make promotional videos for the local amateur fight league. And it's so crazy because the same thing, these guys, they're fighting in front of crowds in cages, but I ask them, you know, what's your name, age, where you're from, and where you're fight out of. And like they freeze up and they can't do it. They're nervous. They're sweating. And I'm like, are you serious? This is crazy. It's nuts, man.
It is a little, I guess it's just because, yeah, I'd much rather be speaking in front of people than fighting in front of people. So.
Yeah. Yes. Same here.
Yeah.
I've experienced both now. And
yeah,
I got to say, it's much easier speaking in front of people.
That brings us to the to a bantamweight bout: Kyung Ho Kong, Brandon Davis, and just man, I thought Davis after that second round. I really thought Davis had this fight in hand. He seemed like he had Kong figured out, and then Kong just came out in the third and shot at takedown after takedown after takedown.
Yeah, this fight was competitive and then turned frustrating by the end of it.
Yeah.
Between the referee standing up the fight when it's inside control,
to
like the delayed return of the mouthpiece in the second round, to Davis just giving up simple takedowns late, like this fight was just frustrating. And on Twitter, Mookie Alexander, he tweeted out something about the takedown defense of Davis is so bad that, you know, he was losing the wrestling battle to a one-legged man.
Yeah,
like that's a tough pill to swallow.
I mean, I like watching Brandon Davis fight a lot. He's clearly like, you know, they talked about his insane cardio he has, but he's really mostly just, it's like he brawls incredibly well in prolonged pocket exchanges. And then whether it's from way outside or way in close wrestling or defending strikes from the outside, it's just kind of a blank slate.
So they were roasting him as he's walking to the cage. The commentators were, the broadcast team.
Yep.
But I feel like Dominic Cruz raised an excellent point. Because if you're spending, there was a point in my life where I was running like 10 miles every other day. And like that was a lot. Like it's so time consuming to do that. You have to prep, you have to eat, you have to actually run it, then you have to shower, you have to rest. Like it's a lot. And so if you're spending hours and hours running, that's hours and hours you're not learning and refining technique.
Yeah.
Like that's just real rap. This is the cream of the crop. This is the top. This is the elite level. Like these guys, so many of them, all they do is train. Of course they have a strength and conditioning regimen. Yes, you have to, but it's a smaller piece of the pie than the actual technique part.
Well, at the same time, though, I mean, you know, how many times have you heard everybody celebrate the Diaz's for doing like triathlon training, you know?
I think that's different, though. That's not running 20 miles every day.
It's true. It's true.
You know, so that's 20 miles. They said he ramped up his pace to 12 miles per hour. That's like 4 hours of running a day. You're sleeping at least 6 of those. That's 10 hours of your day gone.
Well, if he's actually running 4 miles an hour, it's 2 hours of running, but under 2.
20 miles at 12 miles. 20 miles at 12 miles an hour.
Yeah, 20 miles at 12 miles an hour would be 2 hours. 24 miles. But you're still doing the prep and the cool down and all that. And the big thing is, I think that you'd have to ask about that really is, even if it's not the time sink it seems like it might be, and it very easily probably is a huge time sink, it's definitely not training for what you're doing. Like, you are never going to need to be a person who can run 20 miles a day in the cage. Like, it's not the same thing. It's not close. Having great cardio and all that and great road work is obviously super valuable, and every fighter should do it. But there's great, and then there's like, well, at what point, like, what are you training to do? You know?
Right. Like, it's like, is his martial arts training to improve his running?
Yeah.
You know, it's something to look at. Like, at first, I'm like, man, why are they they're just crapping all over his cardio regiment? But there is something to it when you can't stuff a takedown from someone whose leg has been completely battered because you kicked it repeatedly, and is supposed to be the more tired guy. So the more tired one-legged man is taking you down. Why? Because you're not supposed to be tired. It's a technique thing. Why don't you have the technique there? Because you're spending all your freaking time running.
Dominic Cruz, he gave, apparently, Derek Brunson even credited him with it. He gave Brunson a wake-up call with the, like, who's your coach? What are you doing? Maybe he can do the same thing for Brandon Davis.
Cruz is a real one, man. He can, and a testament to the Diaz ring rust is BS.
Yeah.
Cruz is Cruz is a genius. He really is. Sometimes he can be super annoying when won't shut up about the underhooks, but the man is smart when it comes to MMA.
I'm not doubting he's smart. I have my own feelings about some of the stuff he talks about and stuff like that, but he clearly has a few things that are just like perfectly right. And the underhooks thing is, honestly, to me, like, he's right. Like, underhooks, that is the way you win clinch battles against the cage. It just always is. But,
sure, but like, there was a point where that's like all he would say. There's a point that was all he was saying. He loves to bicker with Joe Rogan about pedantic stuff, whatever. But we're here to compliment Dominic Cruz on being right about some stuff. Yeah, and it's almost as if he would be perfect for that kind of leadership role, like the fighter mentor guy. Like, UFC, give him a job as I don't want to say chaperoning, but kind of just taking guys under his wing and schooling them to the veteran ways on how to become a world champion or close to it.
I wonder if he's too competitive for that.
I know.
Or it's just be like, I want to beat these people. I don't want to teach them anything.
I don't know, man. But he's got the wisdom. He's got the knowledge.
He does, but he also clearly is like competitive to the core,
So Dana White just came out and finally said that Nate Diaz is a needle mover.
Good for Dana. Even broken clocks,
That's right. They sold out the arena.
Yeah. No, I mean, Nate Diaz, like, I saw reporters talking about it on their way in, that they saw more Nate Diaz shirts than every other fighter on the card combined.
Oh, yeah.
He's selling the tickets. He's the one people want to see. At some point, you got to come around to this. Like, the UFC should, they've got no reason to ever turn their nose up at anybody who's making them money. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he's getting the Conor McGregor treatment. He was allowed to skip that obligation.
Yep. All right. Final fight to talk about, women's flyweight bout. Prelim opener, Sabina Mazo, Shayna Dobson, and Mazo looked like 500% better than her UFC debut.
I love this division. And yeah, she did. She looked a lot more comfortable than she did in her debut. She got right to work and totally just owned this fight.
Yep.
Like, she summoned her inner Anderson Silva and just put on some beautiful clinch work. So many knees to the body scored. And like, it was such a testament to her clinch control.
Yeah.
Her tie plum was just so savvy and just ultra effective. And those body shots really did just open up the face. Oh, this was great. And she even was getting her takedowns and got a bunch of grounded pound. She was just so dominant that she was getting 30-27s. I mean, excuse me, 30-24s.
Yeah, she got 30-24 and 2 30-25s. Yeah, no, it was a great comprehensive performance. It was the kind of thing that, when she debuted, I kind of felt, I was like, oh, this woman, she hasn't fought the competition she's fought is bad. Yeah. But she looks technically gifted. We'll see what she can do with
young.
it. Yeah. And then Moreau's kind of schooled her, took her to, it was just like, oh, well, you don't know how to defend a takedown. You don't know that you have to go out and put a pace on somebody. You can't just like try to let them come to you and see what happens and all that. And Mazo obviously took away all the right lessons from that fight,
This was awesome.
Yeah.
Low power, but she throws with volume and just really exhibited tons of control that I really liked, both in the clinch as well as on the ground.
And she's got a nasty.
She's 22 years old.
Yeah. Can clearly improve in leaps and bounds. And she's got a nasty left kicking game to all levels, which I really love seeing a fighter who even, will throw the same kicks off the same leg, but target all different levels all the time.
Right.
It's really fun to watch.
I'm a big fan. Like Pettis. Pettis was really good at kicking the body, kicking the liver.
Yep.
That was a big thing that I really enjoyed out of him in his heyday.
Back when he wasn't losing these fights.
No, when he was kicking Cowboy in the liver and kicking
Wheaties box Pettis.
Wheaties box Pettis, yes.
End of the day, Stipe Miocic circle back around once again, UFC champ. Once again, that means that the division doesn't really have any super glowing, oh my God, I can't wait for this fight on the horizon. But dude clearly earned it, and fantastic performance.
Zane Simon.
Yeah.
Does Daniel Cormier retire?
Oh, I would bet so.
You think so?
I don't think he has any desire to cut back down to light heavyweight. John Jones can say whatever he wants about DC not wanting to fight him or anything, but Jones has no desire to go up to heavyweight. And without a big, huge payday fight like Lesnar out there, like, is DC going to hang around and, like, I don't know, fight Junior Dos Santos or something? I don't really see the appeal.
Here's my prediction.
Yeah.
I think he is going to step away for a bit, but I think he's going to come back Randy Couture style in like a year and a half, 2 years, and maybe find a chink in the armor at heavyweight and maybe come back and win the belt.
Well, I mean, it's heavyweight and it's MMA, so predicting somebody to not really retire and predicting some old guy to still be good, those are both very safe bets.
Yeah.
On that note, though, we're going to wrap things up. You can find me on Twitter at TheZaneTime. You can find Eddie on Twitter at TheEddieMercado. You can find both of us over at BloodyElbow.com. Give us a like. Subscribe to our podcast, Bloody Elbow Presents, over on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all that good stuff. And keep an eye out for our upcoming shows. We got the Mookie Cookie Show, Level Change Podcast, Pull No Punches, the MMA Vivisection, all that good stuff. We'll be coming at you. We'll be back with the 6th round in 2 weeks for UFC Fight Night. Zhang versus Andrade in Shenzhen, China. And
I'm not sure if I'll be joining you for that. I'm actually I'm heading to Abu Dhabi for UFC 242. And I'm going to go out there early, so I'm not sure if I'll even be available for that.
Holy heck, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be lots of fun.
Enjoy the hell out of that. And until then, we will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.